it's Drybear. A new indie game on Steam is absolute blast to play. It is a hidden gem that you should be playing. It's called Nuclear Nightmare, and it's just about $6 to $8 depending on the currency that you're using to buy. It is an indie game that is multiplayer up to 8 players, and it's basically The Thing, like the 1980s movie The Thing, where you're stuck in a very difficult winter with difficult conditions, and there's an infection going around of this changeling shapeshifter style monster that can take over players, and you can actually turn into these monsters and fight the other players as well. Now, it's first person and you're just collecting loot and going around the level, and there's a whole bunch of different sites to visit with different activities to do, and your goal as one of the survivors, as everyone starts as a survivor of the 8 players in the beginning, your goal is to go through these sites and collect as many of the objectives as you can and then safely extract at the end. However, there are head crabs running around that will instantly infect you and turn you into a changeling that you can then turn into like other players into changelings. It will have a day-night cycle where at nighttime monsters will come and try and capture you. And there's even a time limit as well where there's a nuclear strike that'll come to nuke everything because there's too many changelings everywhere, too many things, and so you have to escape before the nuclear strike hits, but you're still running against time as you're trying to avoid the nighttime monsters, trying to avoid the transmission of the virus, the infection to everybody, as well as all the other players that may have turned as well. They also have the thing from the movie where you can test your blood to see if you are infected or not, and if you are infected, there are some ways you can cure it with a vaccine or by using different objectives that require you to be infected for a short period of time, and you're collecting evidence and going from place to place. Now, if you're infected and die, the game is not over yet. You will be turned into this little changeling base thing. All you can do with this is just run around and hide. You're like a little head crab that can fight. If you're not near players, however, you can start an evolution and go into a higher form of the infection. And when you do this, you'll transform into this humanoid version of the infection. And at this point, you can then use your infrared to run around the map and attack players. You have 2 different attacks. You can sprint towards players as well once you're finished transforming. And you can also do a left-click attack, which knocks players down and does damage to them and eventually can infect them as well. You'll use the infrared to find where their players are, and you can sneak up on them and try to ambush them. And using the infrared, you can see where they are in the base while they're doing objectives and running around. And again, with a full match of up to 8 players, this can get crazy because you get separated from other players while you're playing. You can't use proximity chat at the same time, and you can sneak up on them and attack them when they don't realize that there might be people dead or infected at the time. The nighttime is incredibly dark, and the map is incredibly big as well. You generally need to follow these red lights that have the signposts on them. This will guide you through the blizzard if you don't have any other way to get around. And the navigation is quite poor as well because there are ravines that you can fall into, mountains that'll block your path. You really do have to follow these red light paths from camp to camp if you're going to be doing the objectives. But again, at night, the giant worms show up, the head crabs show up, there are these 2-headed monsters, all kinds of things will come crawling out of the night, and they can also deactivate generators and put you in a really bad state, on top of the fact that not only are there NPC monsters that will hunt you, but also the other players are watching you through infrared, looking for a chance to strike. Now, when you get to a new area, a new objective point of interest, you'll want to run and activate the generator. This will give you power for that area, allow you to open the electronic locks, upload things to the satellite, do things that you need in order to actually gain access. If the power goes out, a lot of the electronic doors will stop working, so you need to get the generator up. However, the players that turn into the changelings as well as the monsters, they can go to the generator and whack it to turn it off, which will lock you inside of some areas. You'll have to break the door open to get through, and then you'll have to fight for your life as they come for you while you're trying to decide what is going on, who's infected and who's not. And as I mentioned, the blizzard is pretty limiting. The only time you can check in on the players are on these little terminals here. This terminal that you see on screen is how you check the nuclear strike timing, how you call for evac when you're ready to evac, and you can check the status of other players. It is the only real way to know if other players are still alive, infected, or dead is by going to these terminals, which are very far sparsed out. Because the proximity chat isn't super far either, as soon as someone goes far enough away from you, you won't be able to talk to them unless you find a unique item, the walkie-talkie, so you can speak to each other and actually stay in contact. Otherwise, you won't be able to speak to them, you won't know their status, you won't know if they're infected or not. Now, you also have the monsters you'll fight and the players, but when you destroy them, there's also this little head crab that'll pop out of them, and this head crab, if they get a chance to jump on you, will instantly infect you and turn you to either the infected AI or give you a chance to turn into a player-controlled AI or player-controlled monster as well to infect other players on top of that. So you're worried about the big monsters dealing damage to you, but also worried about the little monsters infecting you very quickly. Now, there's tons of weapons all over the place. There are shotguns, magnum revolvers, there are flamethrowers, all that kind of stuff. And you can use these to protect yourself, but they have limited shots for each one. Once the shots are up, the item is useless. You have to toss it and look for more ammo. So towards the end of the game, when you're trying to extract, a lot of players are trying to get in and attack each other and try to convert before they extract. Everyone gets points and values as long as someone extracts. So you're kind of like incentivized to just play out the game and enjoy, but you still have all these options to trick people, you know, pretend like you're still not infected, turn infected, and it feels like it is very much the whole movie of The Thing, where you're not sure who's infected or what, who's a changeling, who's hiding, and what's going on. Each POI has its own set of loot, as well as its own set of objectives and its own generator as well. So there is value in splitting up and going all over the map, trying to get more of the objectives done, so you get more points at the end. It also splits up the loot a little bit, but the more you split up, the more you risk running into monsters on your own, getting infected, and then having this change over as well. There is also a talent system in the game. You can go up to these vending machines in the game. It'll randomly select a talent from a large list of talents in the game, and you can equip them, and you can stack them together if you find more and more of these. And you'll usually find at least one vending machine per point of interest. Everyone can use it once to get a buff, and you'll have to find a new one to get a buff, and it randoms from the ones you've unlocked from the overall like account progression on the main menu. There's a whole bunch of stuff like you are immune to fall damage, flamethrowers deal 50% more damage, you can get extra free helicopters, you can instantly refill the gas on a snowmobile so you don't run out of it, so the resources are kept there. There's a lot of really cool things that you can get to make your character stronger and stronger, and makes each match a little bit different as well. There's a full tree here, and all you're doing is unlocking these for them to appear in-game in the vending machine. So once you get these unlocked as you go through, there's some really crazy things in here. Infinite flashlight battery life, temperatures don't take you down as much. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can unlock, and then you can actually stack these perks once you get in game and get them going. There's also some basic like emotes and things that you can do to play around with your friends and show these off to other players. You can whistle to cause monsters to chase you. There's some little things you can unlock from skins as well. So you can actually find like different skins that have a different presentation. So they've got a little bit of fun action going with the game, and it feels very like Lethal Company-like and multiplayer sus-like, which is super fun. And as I've been playing and facing better and better players, a lot of times they know how to drive. The helicopters are hard to pilot, but there are people that can pilot them well, which cover a lot of ground. They split up, but they also have to face a lot of good players as playing as the infected as well. They do hit and runs where they'll sneak up on you, strike only when you're vulnerable or when you don't have weapons on you, or try to sneak up on you when you're doing an objective, and then they run away once they're done, so you don't have a chance to shoot back at them once they have that going. And they also try to wait for like the right moment when you're trying to extract or trying to go to a vehicle out in the open as well. Also at nighttime is a great time for them to team up on you as things get more and more infected. And overall, I think the game is super fun to play. So if you're looking for a new like co-op survival multiplayer game to play with friends, this is a hidden gem that hasn't been discovered yet. It's on Steam right now for a very small price, and I hope that over the next couple weeks or next month we find people discovering this game and playing it together, because it's an absolute blast to play. But of course, if you're playing Nuclear Nightmare or you're already aware of it, let me know down in the comments and share the love with people that might be interested in trying it out. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people. And don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.